This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather Holders, Jeff Cutter-Diamond, welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, March the 2nd, is a Toronto Maple Leafs defensive legend. He also played for Boston, Carolina, and Montreal, and even in the Czech League. Obviously, it was not Boris Salming because Salming never played in the Czech League. But anyway, this guy actually took home a medal at the 2006 Winter Olympics of bronze, and is the second highest scoring defenseman in Leafs history behind Salming. He is now 45 years old, and he was such a coveted defenseman in his days. Is Thomas Kaberle. Thomas Kaberle had an older brother, Frederick, who played in the defense of the NHL in Atlanta, at least. Their father, Frederick Sr., was a legend for the Czech national team in the 70s and 80s. Anyway, Kaberle was drafted in the 8th round of the 96 draft by the Leafs. Most Czechs don't get drafted that high because it's like you're playing in a European league. How would that translate to the NHL? So he was eased into the Leafs lineup. And, he isn't playing that much, but by the 2000 season, he needed to play more and more because of Brian Berard's eye injury. Kaberle was picked to be part of the 2002 All-Star game and was part of the Czech team in the Winter Olympics. Kaberle actually started the 2001-02 campaign as a restricted free agent without a contract and decided to play for Kladno in the Czech League until his contract was fixed. And it was until 2006. Kaberle was given a 5-year extension in February 2006 for a no-trade clause. So anyway, Kaberle scored a hat-trick against the Habs October 2006, which was great, and was named to the All-Star game in 2007. Unfortunately, Kaberle would have a massive concussion in March of 2007. He missed 8 games but came back to the lineup. Kaberle, in his lifetime, has scored 7 overtime goals, which is weird for a defenseman. Anywho, Kaberle in 2008 at the All-Star game took part in the accuracy competition and went 4 for 4. You had to go top left, top right, bottom right, hit those targets. He became the 4th player after Ray Bourque, Mark Messier, and Jeremy Roenick to do so. Go 4 for 4. Kaberle would try to defend his title but lost to Malkin of the Penguins. Anyway, Kaberle looked pretty good. He scored 22 points in the first 20 games and led the NHL defense in scoring, but fell a little bit flat. Then the Leafs decided to trade Kaberle away 2011 because the Leafs were not that great in the early 2010s. So they traded him to Boston for a prospect, Boston's first rounder in 2011, and a second rounder in 2012, which was conditional upon the Bruins either reaching the Cup Finals or resigning Kaberle. But the second round pick happened because the Bruins reached the Stanley Cup Finals. And of course, they beat the Canucks in the Stanley Cup Finals. Truly. But Kaberle won his cup with the Bruins in 2011. It had to be done. The Leafs needed to send him to a Stanley Cup contender, and Boston won that title. Anyway, Kaberle signed a 3-year deal with Carolina. Boston did not re-sign him. So anyway, he went to Carolina, playing 29 games for them, and all that. Weirdly enough, just a few months after he started playing for Carolina, he was traded to Montreal for Euro Spacek. So that was weird how Carolina went through a 3-year contract for him and then dumped him off. Anyway, Kaberle would play for Kladno during the lockout and all that. The problem was that Kaberle was basically a healthy scratch for the Habs blue line. He was placed on waivers, but nobody wanted him. So he only played 10 games. The Habs decided to buy him out, and then he signed a 1-year deal with Kladno. He was invited to the Devils training camp in September 2014, but he was released. So Kaberle retired from Kladno and all that. So Kaberle has a World Ice Hockey Championships, a World Championships gold medal, doing it in 2005. I mean, Frederick's his older brother, did it for the 5th time. Thomas did it for the first. And both were named part of the 2006 Winter Olympics team, which they took bronze. And Kaberle played in the 06 World Championships, taking silver. So anyway, he had a great career in the Czech League and the NHL. He almost got to 1,000 games in the NHL, but Montreal just kept giving him healthy scratches. Damn you to hell. He put up 87 goals, 563 points in those games, and then 39 points in 102 postseason games. Internationally, he played for the Czechs a lot, won the 2011 Stanley Cup, went to 5 All-Star games, 02, 06, 07, 08, and 09, the Axie Championship in 2008. So yeah, Kaberle will always be a great defenseman for me when I think Leafs defenseman. Yes, Tim Horton and Brian Salming, and maybe to a lesser extent Ian Turnbull and Dion Phaneuf. But yeah, Thomas Kaberle was basically the best defenseman for the Leafs in the mid 2000s, early 2010s. So can't beat that. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.